I'd like to call to order our 2017 budget hearing for November 3rd, 2016. It's approximately 6:30 p.m. We're going to open up first for public comment on budget issues only. I don't believe anyone's signed in, so we'll close that part, and we'll move right over to our department heads. First up is Chief Cole, who'll be discussing the police department. And Chief, you have a page for us by chance?
Page
29?
29, oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I can, out of this book, I'll get you the page.
Yeah.
Yeah, we start on, as I believe the manager just said, page 29, but, yeah, 29 would be administration.
In expenditures?
Yeah.
In expenditures, yes. Well, hang on.
Hi, Joanne.
Karen.
I mean, I was close. Terrible.
Yes, you want to start on expenditures, it'll be on page 29. You're correct.
Okay, I remember my.
All right, Chief, the floor is yours.
You know, obviously, in conjunction with council, mayor, and certainly the manager, you know, we've put together a budget here. Highlights of the budget, we are going to try to increase the staffing from by 2 more officers from 44 to 46. We're currently at 44. That's one of the reasons why, even this month, you're going to be voting on a civil service ordinance to change some of the civil service, or to go forward with the civil service testing. We had to update the ordinance. That's on the agenda for November meeting. And then, of course, the operating expenses have escalated a little bit, but they don't seem to have been dramatically increased, other than, of course, the 2 new salaries. We anticipate, with additional 2 officers being hired, we'll be having a total of at least replacing 3. We have 1 retirement that I'm pretty sure is going to occur. We possibly could have a second retirement as part of that also. You know, our projects for the next year certainly has been the continuing of our vehicle replacement policy, as we continued averaging between 3 and 5 cars a year based on mileage and the need to have those cars replaced, you know, the usage of them. The second part of that certainly is to continue with upgrading radio systems. We've been talking about that now for over 1 year. Well, we're in our 2nd year of talking about that. We need to move forward with that. That's more of a capital. Both of them are capital items. We haven't seen any other needs in the department other than you know, increasing manpower for our staffing on our patrol. Any other questions?
Council, any questions for Chief Cole?
In regards to the upgrading the radio system, are we still waiting on hearing about a grant from the state?
Yes, we are. Councilman Gatos, we're still looking at, we're hoping we can get a grant through Markozic's office. We've still, that's been applied for. Budget's all, you know, changed up here, and certainly with the election year, that's what slowed this up this year. Though, so we are still hoping to get a grant. We do have some asset seizure money that can also be put toward that. So that's the idea, is to have as least impact as we can on the municipality.
Is there anything in the budget that would help us then help you for the radio system? Or
What's our responsibility for it?
Right.
Good question, yeah.
At this point, I've kind of not been able to give you an idea behind that. We've talked about being somewhere in that $200,000 to $300,000 category would be our responsibility. There's some caveats there. Our asset seizures have been increasing. We have some asset seizures that are currently in, quote unquote, the queue, as you would want to say, that we're going to be receiving funds. That may be fairly substantial. Again, the federal government controls that entirely, actually. So we're still looking there. And then the most we would be looking at would be somewhere we would think in that 200, 250, 300 max range.
Okay.
Tim, can we consider the fund balance in order to fund some of that project?
No, I would not do that.
Okay.
No, it's too expensive. It's taking too much out of the fund balance.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if this would be an appropriate time to discuss this or not, or if I would have to wait for my own comments, but the Monroeville Finance Authority had budgeted to give the municipality $148,000. Well, they are giving us $175,000, which is wonderful. And I was wondering if there was a way to set up a separate fund that would be for public safety only with those additional monies, that we could start funneling money into that account directly to help with these radio upgrades in the future. Would we have to make a motion for something like that? Mr. Little? Mr. Ratchford?
Well, I mean, if you're going to make a motion, it wouldn't be during the budget hearing. You'd have to do it Wednesday, you'd have to do it Wednesday night. But they're giving us $175,000, and I was going to report on that under my report tonight. If you were talking about the balance of that, we can do that. But keep in mind, the $175,000 that's in the budget is used to balance the budget.
But you only have the $148,000 in there to balance the budget from previous.
Yeah, if I
And we're
did,
gonna-
then you have a
Yes, and we're going to
balance,
have an
right.
additional $27,000 we weren't counting
You're
on.
talking about the 27,000.
You're talking
Yes,
about
just the 27,000 to go ahead and
What
get
we're
started.
discussing, where's the money at here? I'm not seeing it.
It's coming from the Minerva Finance Authority.
It's under the revenues under my,
So it's not on this.
no.
No, but I was just wondering, since we were ending up with $27,000 that we weren't anticipating, if we could not maybe start a public safety fund, and then that money could be used for public safety issues, maybe the radio upgrades. It's money we weren't counting on, so I thought maybe we could start a fund that would be good beneficial for the whole community.
Tim, does that have to be designated for special spending, or can we use that for general?
No, you can, it's in a general fund. You can use it for anything.
But we could start, I would like to ask if we could have it put on the agenda for Wednesday to vote on, to possibly set up a separate fund specifically for public safety, item only, being this money that we weren't counting on.
So. I'm totally lost.
I
I with
understand
that,
what
but
you're
what
saying.
is
I
the
get it.
what is the total amount needed for these radios?
He said $200,000 to $300,000
Well,
from
from
us.
us would be roughly in that category.
It's not in here anywhere.
It is not in there
No.
anywhere. It's actually a capital expenditure.
And
it is a public safety event. It's not, it would have a ripple effect that would also increase the communications for the Public Works Department, obviously the police department being the number one, and of course the fire department and the infrastructure with all the.
So this is going to what, VHF or?
This is going from the high band. Currently, right now, as we sit here today, Monroeville Police Department is the only police department in Allegheny County that's still on a high band frequency. It's between 150 and 170 megahertz.
And we're
All
gonna-
the other departments are on frequencies between 450 and 490.
And we're going to.
We want to go to that level.
You'd be giving those other radios to the road department.
That's correct. The other radio.
Am I understanding that the fire departments gave us
UHF.
The fire department has UHF. They've been on UHF since 1988. They've been in that system. And in 1988, as a side note, all the police departments were on VHF, so that's why we stayed on VHF. But the UHF system is, they've been on it since. They have the capability. There's some frequencies there. We're trying to get licensed on another frequency, which has been part of the issues. But the same problem is that the police department depend more on portable radios than they do on the mobile radios.
So
in the
that would be
vehicles.
UHF.
So, correct. So even if we would just transition over to the fire department channel, which wouldn't be
But I
function
thought
proper.
that they had, my understanding was they had several channels.
They do.
UHF
But those
channels, and they were going
frequencies,
to
they
devote
do,
one to us.
absolutely. But they still need to be built out. They have to have more receive antennas. They have to have more infrastructures. They wouldn't work appropriately for the way law enforcement uses it. So we would have to add more portable coverage. We'd have to add more microwaves to get it to work appropriately. And that's why we need to
That
still
would
have this.
eliminate the dead spots, some of the
Eliminate the
dead
dead spots that we have now. And some of this, even on the VHF system with and I'll give you some numbers here. On the VHF system that we currently have with the police department, we have 7 receive antennas with a transmit antenna off of Crown Tower, which is the big tower here by Number 5 Fire Company. On the UHF system that the fire department currently has, we only have 3 receive antennas with transmitter off the Crown Tower by Number 5's firehouse. We would have to build more receive antennas and add more transmitters to all the frequencies to make them work. And the reason that's occurring is because in 2010, we were forced to do what they call narrow banding, which took the frequency width that when you transmit out, it transmit in a wider beam, made it narrow down to a shorter beam, which took away our coverage. It took away our inside building coverage, and took away our outside the borough, further into the city coverage when we get pursuits and things like that. So this is technology. The federal government forced us to do that, and they're going to narrow band again, even make it more narrow. So the infrastructure needs to be changed and updated. The infrastructure that the fire department has is 1980s technology. The police department has late 1970s technology. We've got to get it into the 21st century, I guess.
So this is a public safety issue, so I don't understand half the things you just said,
I know.
but we've just got to make sure that the money is there so we can do this upgrade and get us into the 21st century here.
Right.
Right,
Absolutely correct.
I mean, that's just- it
I
is-
just wanted
it
to
is.
start building a fund for this public safety.
Oh, build
I
the
thought
fund,
this might be a good way
contract
to
it out,
start
let's
it.
get it started.
Well,
Well, got to do
We
it.
have to get the grant money, though.
Linda, what you and I talked about, I think a way that you can start funding it better than the balance of $27,000, and you and I discussed this,
Yes.
is, as I mentioned last month when I was talking about the budget, the fund balance in the general fund is doing a little better. Now, that's not to say, as I mentioned also, that if you have a large expense, an unknown expense, then you're going to have to dip into the fund balance, so to speak. But as I've said before, your low point on a cash flow for any municipality in the Commonwealth is March 31st. Now, what I mentioned to Linda, she and I talked about this after the Finance Authority meeting. I think if you could take, for instance, if our fund balance is healthy on March 31st, which is a low point of a cash flow, you can maybe take $100,000 out of there and put it into a separate fund and start funding this for the radios. I projected that the fund balance at the end of this year, the calendar year, the calendar year, is going to be better than it was last year. So our fund balance is building a little bit, and this is a capital item, obviously. And whether it's roads, whether it's vehicles, radios, whatever the case might be, you're going to have to start funding and finding a stream to put into the capital improvement fund. This is something we have to do. We don't have any choice. So I think that might be a way of waiting till March and then taking 100. I'm just using a number. It might be 75. It might be 125. Whatever. I can bring that to the table at the March meeting, and say, here's where our fund balance was the last 2 years at this time, and this is what it is now. We might have $500,000 more, and maybe you might want to take $100,000 and put it in a separate fund.
What is our fund balance today?
Right now, as we speak, I'll get back to you. I don't know what it is to the penny.
Okay, well, what was it projected at then?
We're projected, I have it at about 4.3.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind, that's not cash on hand. The general fund is owed money from, for instance, the liquid fuels fund and things of that nature. So that's an accrued fund balance. Cash on hand's a little bit lower than that.
So how soon are we going to be able to do this upgrade?
Don't we, it's very important that we wait on the
I'll
grant,
refer to the
correct?
chief on it, defer to the chief on
I'd like to
that.
start it yesterday.
I like the quickness that you want to move. I'm all, we certainly think that a grant is still the way to go, and I'll have a general idea about that early next year, I would hope. So, we can get started. The frequency allocation is one of the issues. We're trying to get a fourth channel. There are extra channels, or I should say other channels that the fire department does have on UHF. That is a stopgap. We could get onto one of those channels, possibly, and then, add the other channel when we get it. UHF channels are becoming very difficult because one of the other issues here that the county has facing it is their 490 band is called a T-band, and that T-band is being taken away by the feds, so they're scrambling for radio channels too. So this is all something that the federal government's put on us over the past really 5 to 6 years. But it is technology that we got to get going here. I hope next year we get it done, but early next year would probably be a late next year. If we got to get some licensing for other transmitters, there's things that we have to do on those channels. We have already, as part of the Public Safety Committee, gone down and spoke with vendors about the technology that's available for us. One of the things we did with these iPhones is why I brought my iPhone issued to the officers to try to offset. That gives at least cell phone capability as a backup It's only a backup. It's not the primary. We need to have a good primary radio channel. Certainly, it also gives us the capability of sending data and photographs and other things that we can do now that we have all the government, meaning the municipality, owns the phone. We have proper software on it for safety, for security, for Criminal History Records Act, all that kind of
So
stuff.
here's.
I don't mean to, I'm sorry.
Please, Steve.
I don't mean to drag us out, but I remember last year that we talked about the VHF.
We've actually
we
talked
added
about it
some
for 2
an-
years. It's
Yes,
actually
we have.
gone back 2
But we added antennas. Did that help any? I know we had an issue down on Lower Pitcairn Road.
It helped the VHF, it did. We didn't add any UHF antennas to the fire department side of things, but it did help the VHF. But it's still not been enough. Again, it's the technology.
I'm sorry, I thought it helped the UHF.
No, it helped the VHF. We added the cover antenna on top of the hill at the water tower on, well, I guess it's really 14th, 13th.
So it didn't help our police force.
No, it did. It did help a little bit. It helped over Pitcairn, helped that area, but we still have the dead spots that we have in the lower area of.
And that couldn't temporarily be addressed by addition of antennas, is what I'm saying. Until we come to next year when we get this grant or whatever.
Well, the issue is that we don't want to put any more money into the system because
Okay.
it's obsolete.
Very good.
We've got to go to the next new system. We've got to, the more money we put it, we're throwing good money after bad.
We have to start looking at this. It's,
Definitely,
you
I
know,
agree with
it's
you.
extremely important for public safety.
I would go further than we need to stop looking at it and just start doing it. Take the fund balance, do what we need to
Right.
do, and shift that money over.
Right.
Public safety, we've been talking about this for a couple years now.
Correct.
It has been a
and
couple of years,
the-
absolutely.
These channels are going away. UHF frequencies, we're losing them, and the longer we drag this out, the less chance we are going to have to get this properly. I mean, this is kind of put all your ducks in the basket, and let's get this done.
Well, and that's what I
we
thought we
can't
were
have-
starting with last year, and we really ended up going
Now,
nowhere.
let me ask this question. If we get the grant, can we use that grant to pay back the fund balance? You know, that the fund balance would support this program?
I don't believe so.
I would think
I would
not.
not think, but I can't answer that
That's
question for you.
that's a question.
When you get a grant, it's specifically
Right,
for that,
Right.
Could we get the project started without all the money? Get it started with money out of the fund balance, and then when the grant comes in, use that to pay for the...
What if the grant doesn't come through for another year?
Well, what if it doesn't? Then we still need this radio. We need the
Still gotta
frequency.
replace it.
Well, I
It's
agree
kind of
we
my
have to
point.
replace
If the
it.
grant
That's why
goes
I
through
was-
or not, we have to do this.
But do you want to piecemeal it? Do you want,
Right.
or
Or
do
do
you
we
want to
start
get it all
allocating
at
the
one
funds
time?
in?
I don't know.
Well, can we
Well,
start-
I don't
I
know
don't
that
know
either,
that
if that would even help.
Can we start with maybe the bid
Way out
process?
of my
Maybe
depth.
getting a better idea of specifically what we're looking at?
We're working with, certainly, one of the, in a combination of this whole thing is also the dispatch center and upgrading the dispatch center. There's radio infrastructure that needs to be upgraded there. When I say radio infrastructure, I mean the repeater sites, the transmitter sites, the microwave sites, and stuff that goes along with the dispatch.
Yes, there's a lot that needs to be looked
A lot
at.
that got to be, we've already looked at the
Put all that money in
propagation studies. We've already looked at them and looking at the sites that we have now currently, which
Right.
does help us. But again, we're talking about putting other transmitters up, which means we need to be licensed for those transmitters. So there's a
Well,
time thing
Doug,
there. Can we start some of this infrastructure? The answer to you is yes. That may be the answer.
Well,
Buying the mobiles and portables are easy, sorry. I mean, that's the
right.
easy part. The problem is getting the infrastructure set that the mobiles and the portables work.
The part that has me nervous right now, that when we had the meeting with the vendor, was that our consoles downstairs are so old, they don't make the parts anymore. And when I say the consoles, I mean the actual transmitters for the police and fire. And we got to get those replaced. We're talking about 100,000.
Yeah, roughly.
And because
all
right
multiple.
now, they're
There's like
operating
5 or
on
6
Windows
eight
XP.
transmitters there.
Oh,
Okay, so one of the computers went down, and they went downstairs into the basement and found a computer actually that had XT on it. But the point being is we got to get this replaced.
Right. Kind of to that point, so in the 5-minute conversation we had, we just found out we just got more outdated. If we wait till next year, we're going to have more stuff outdated.
We would.
It's time to move on
it.
this.
Yeah, we
I don't
have to
think
do it.
that we could go wrong by updating the consoles downstairs now, Doug, right?
I don't
And-
think so.
Where's the counties come into this?
They're in trouble.
They have their issues
I
too.
mean, are their systems as
Well, the feds are taking all their channels.
antiquated as ours?
Let's try. No, they got newer
Counties
tech.
UHF.
No, that is part of the, they have newer technology. They have the technology, at least in the 90s. Let's put it that way. They have.
So we're trying to update our Monroeville
That's
911
This is our
center
system, that's correct, that we have.
Radios and.
Yeah.
with everything to be comparable to the
Well,
county.
that's the untold story here, is that what it does is for a mutual aid type of an incident, it certainly makes it easier for our officers to talk. Instead of having to talk back through the dispatch and going back to the other, they can talk directly to the county people. If we have other departments we have to mutual aid with,
And it
or
eliminates
they
the
come
dead-
in here.
It eliminates the dead spot.
And that's the big yes. We want to eliminate the dead spots, absolutely. And that's why we're looking at multiple more receivers, different types of transmitters in the different locations and at different wattages. That's the whole system. That's why, when I say infrastructure, I mean that whole back end, that when you key the mic up, it works.
So
And-
I'll help dig the holes,
I
and you
gotta
can use my roof for an antenna, work.
I've got to bring this question. If we didn't have a 911 center, or a Monroeville center, and we were directly through the county, would we have to invest this?
No. The county provides a radio system. The question would be,
No, you have to replace all the mobiles.
we'd have to replace all the mobiles and portables. We would have that's correct. We would have to replace the mobiles and portables. We'd have a $180,000 expense.
But not the transmitters and the
We
antennas?
wouldn't have to do the transmitters, the antennas, anything like that. That's
They'll be
correct.
using their,
We'd be using their infrastructure.
Frequencies.
That's
Okay.
correct. Well, they would want our channels. They would want our frequencies. They would probably try to build out our channels, because our channels are,
Okay.
our frequencies are
The
like.
long run of it is what you're saying, is it's the same amount of money for us to upgrade ourselves if we get the grant money, as it would
Yeah.
be to just go
It
ahead and
would
go
be-
with the county
and
and
that's why
not
the
give up
grants
our
kind of-
own center and our own
That's
channel.
correct. That's why the grants kind of is very important,
Yes.
actually. It's extremely important. But we're trying to keep us at the low end that we have to support ourselves, meaning the municipality has to come up with the end of it. And we have asset seizure money that's going to offset it, too.
One other thing we learned during that meeting is that the CAD system, the computer-aided dispatch system that the county uses, just went belly up. The company bought them and they're shutting down.
Wow.
The county's
So
going
now
to
they're going to
replace
have
their
to buy a
CAD.
whole new
The
computer.
county will.
The county will, correct. So whether in the future there'll be surcharges to municipalities or not, I don't know. We've always been thinking there may be.
But we won't get those surcharges.
Well, we won't have those surcharges,
No, we
because
won't.
we're still by ourselves. But I can't speak for the county on that, honestly.
Try to pull us out
I
of
do
the
know
weeds.
that they have to change some of their stuff, too.
Like, why don't you make up a list that, with the approximate costs that we can look
We
at?
are waiting to get some prices back. That was one of the issues at our meeting last, or 2 weeks ago, was that they were going to get back to us with
I
pricing on
kind
what
of
they
tend
think
to
it'll
lean
be.
towards Mr. Duncan and doing it all at once, but if we have to do it a chunk at a time, the radio room is the thing to update first.
I mean, it sounds like council is definitely ambitious to get this thing rolling. I think maybe Mr. Harvey says, maybe we start getting some prices, maybe kind of give us exactly what we're looking into, that you can meet with Mr. Little, Mr. Little can present to us, because it's not really in this budget right now.
So we're
it's
talking about a capital here, absolutely
Exactly.
correct. We're not
So
talking about an operating
maybe we
budget. That's
start
right.
with just kind of figuring out exactly what we're getting into, and we'll move on it from that point.
I do have one other question.
If we could-
Go ahead.
Doug, I'm not sure where this is at, but is it true that the state is passing a law about having to have body cameras?
The Senate actually passed prior to them. It was not acted on by the House of Representatives because it never came out of
I
committee.
just meant it could be an expense to us if you
Well,
have
it's
to
gonna-
have.
it is. They passed good legislation that the Chiefs of Police Organization and the FOP were both in favor of on the body camera. They limited access to right to know. They had privacy issues for people that were caught on the camera. They had to go to a judge to get stuff. Obviously, it was always available at court for criminal cases. So that was great legislation. I would have liked to have seen it adopted, as being a representative with the chiefs of police, because we've put some time into that. But that didn't happen. It's not going to happen this year. Whether it'll happen next year, I do anticipate that body cameras, some type of legislation will happen in 17.
And for our residents, we don't currently have body cameras, correct?
We do not. We
We do have vehicle cameras.
We have in-car camera systems. We've been one of the leaders in that, going back somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 years now.
Yeah, I know.
And we've spent money on that, too. A lot of it was asset seizure money, but we've put money into those cameras in the area of $200,000 a crack whenever we replaced them every 5 years. We have roughly 34 police cars, or I take it back, roughly 24 to 26 cars that actually have them. So the body cameras, and then initially, we thought, and this was with 5 or 6 years of body cameras being out on the market across the country, we thought, and the vendors all thought, that the body cameras would replace the in-car cameras, and that is not the case. So now what we're looking at in the future is a combination in-car camera and a body camera that are hooked together, that are all part of the same video storage. This is the technology. So that the camera comes on in a car when it gets triggered by turning on the red lights. It also turns the body camera on. It makes things a little more streamlined, if lack of a better word. So that's going to be the future, and that's the future of all the body camera manufacturers. That's what they're
Like,
doing.
if they pass this legislation, are you going to be forced to buy a body camera?
The legislation doesn't force the local municipalities to do it.
So it'd be up to us.
It would still be up to this council, absolutely.
So,
Some states, may I add, do force. North Carolina is one of them, but when they force them, the states fund it, and they pay for it in its entirety. I don't know if that's going to happen here in Pennsylvania.
trying to back us out of the weeds just a little bit.
Confidence is low there.
Confidence is low there.
Make sure we're all on the same page. Back to the UHF radio thing.
Okay, sure.
Legislation's always going to change. We're always going to be forced to spend money on something else. These things are 50 years outdated. 40, so maybe they were in date for
Yeah.
10 years.
Yeah.
Okay? Again, we just need to get this done. I mean, we need to get all the blind spots, the spots you can't hear. We need to get this fixed. We need to get the UHF, and we need to do it now. We can't wait for it.
I agree, but
Larry,
we
I'm-
also have to get a figure.
Yeah, we do. And everything you said, I'm totally in favor. I've been talking about it for a couple of years now.
I just
So,
wanted to get the door
We've been
open.
trying to
I think
put it
it's a
together.
great
That's why I brought it up.
It's
I'm
now,
glad you did.
it's
Yeah.
definitely not the right time. It's definitely not worth putting any more money into the current system. We've got to do something different.
And that's
you're
one
kind of
good
got
thing
all
to
that.
know.
And that's that's what I really wanted to get to council, and we kind of got it here. And now we
Very
just got to
good. I
figure a way
think
to
we're on
fund
track with it.
Yeah, so Tim,
Thank
Tim,
you.
if you could work with the chief and start figuring that out, and
it. Be absolutely great.
Thank you,
We'll
Doug.
approach it from
Sorry,
there.
it was the wrong timing, guys, but
It was a good time.
Nah, it wasn't.
Good job.
So does anyone else have any other questions for the chief regarding his budget?
I had one question you may have answered. This is kind of just a housekeeping question. There was the contract service fees.
Page.
Under what page? I'm sorry.
it's the same one.
29?
29.
It's 000. Are we doing something new?
The accreditation, Doug.
Yeah, absolutely. I put that in last year because I was going to try to get it's called accreditation, state accreditation for the department. And departments have tried to do it in-house. We have about 85% of everything we need, maybe even 90% everything we need with policies. Of course, our equipment's up to date. Our standards are all right there. So that's what that's about, is trying to be in a position that we could contract an outside agency to help us finish that up. My goal has always been to credit the department. Actually, it's been a goal that we've had for many, many years. So that's why I kind of just kept it in there and carried it over. So
There was
hopefully-
nothing used in that this year.
There was a handful. We ended up doing we took a couple
We
minor
have
things out of it.
zero at 20,000, and then you're asking for another 20,000 in 17.
Yes. I don't
You didn't
think
do
I
it
spent
last year.
anything out of it. I may have spent, I'd have to look at the expenditures, boss. I'm not sure if we took a couple things out of it, but if they were very minor. There was no large ticket items. But it was entitled for, or put toward wanting to accredit the department, meaning meet the state accreditation standards.
Thank you.
Anything else, council?
Keep up the good work.
Very good, thanks, chief.
Thank
Well,
you.
Thank you. Yeah, very good.
And we're going to get those UHF things going, buddy.
And I know we're past 7 PM, but we're going to actually still stick with our budget hearing and try to get some of these employees. They're here, we'll get rolling. So we're
Can we
going to,
make this Paulie come back? 'Cause it was kind of funny. He was sitting there a little antsy.
And make them wait till later.
Not me, though.
No.
you're good.
You can go.
all right. So Joanne
We'll
Morris
let
and Paul
Joanne go,
Estock
but
from
Paul's gotta
the Parks and
stick
Recreation Department. Floor is yours.
Page 81, probably where we should start. We don't have any expenditures in 3365. 3365 is probably just like page 79 maybe, is that correct? Something like that? Expenditures are run through the Public Works with Mike, that's his group that have the expenditures in 3365, so we don't have anything there. All we do is we have the revenue side of it, which is, the revenue side of that is all the community park activities that go over there as far as pavilion rentals and stuff like that. And in 3365, just, it's been wonderful for us with a new addition of the pavilion number 5. So things are going well over there, between the wedding gazebos, the picnics and stuff like that. Everything's going over the way it needs to go over there, so it's doing
We
well.
actually have 125 picnics already reserved
For next year.
year.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's really helping a lot over there. So it's doing well over there. The guys over there are doing a wonderful job and keeping everything going over there. So it's a nice community park right now. We have a lot going on over there, obviously, you guys can
I had
see.
mentioned an idea to Tim, too. Is it okay to mention to them?
Sure, I was going to ask you if you didn't. I was going to make sure you
Well-
brought it up.
I try to research what other communities are doing all over the country all the time to get ideas that might help us here. And I'd come across a community in Ohio that what they do with security deposits is they've run, I'll start from the beginning. Right now, we charge, if you have a community park, a smaller one, we charge you
$90.
a $90 security deposit, or if you have the extra large one, $125. If you have a neighborhood one, or Old Monroeville Park, we charge you $75. So I was looking at this community, and their rates were a lot lower for their security deposit. But what they do is, on their application, let's say you went to rent this, Nick, you'd have the option of checking maybe on your application, do I want to donate part or all of my security deposit to a fund for the park department? And I thought it might be a way to raise some revenue that we could maintain the community park or all the neighborhood parks for that matter. Now, in the process, we talked about it. We talked with Tim as well. Part of the reason we charge a security deposit is in case people just do any destruction or things like that. We usually, maybe if we come across 1 or 2 problems a year that people don't clean up their trash, that's about the majority of it. Nothing serious. So we had mentioned with Tim that maybe, if we were able to lower the fees, that made it not like as high as we currently have them, like say the $75 to $90 one we changed to $50, and the ones that are $125 down to $80, people might be more thinking, okay, I might be willing to do this. And the process is, though, we'd have to have a 5013C to do it, of which our window for that is the Monroeville Foundation. So theoretically, if, we were able to implement this, give people the option, to do this, we ran it through the Monroeville Foundation, maybe give them a small, fee for helping us process this, we may be able to raise a couple $1,000s a year out of the generosity of residents, that would like to see improvements made to our park, and it would cost us nothing.
No, I think it's great. I mean, it's a matter of just asking, and
And
I'm
our
sure the
thought is we're already giving the money back. We're
Yeah.
giving it back to them no matter what.
Right, and if somebody
Exactly.
So
really,
the opportunity to maybe say, hey, we like your park, it's doing wonderful, we'd like to give you $25.
Right.
Right.
$25, $25.
if someone destroys one of the, some property, they're still liable regardless, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
And they
Yeah.
sign certain
You won't
things.
get it if you don't ask.
Exactly.
I agree with it.
And since we're already giving it back, why not just, if we can do a portion of it, we can do whatever. We can figure it out. They can say, we want to give you back 25%, we want to get whatever, or a number. Well,
And it'd be a tax-deductible donation that, either us or Monroeville Foundation would send them a letter then saying, hey, this, and they can write it off on their taxes.
And it's
as
really
well.
just changing some language on your forms, that's about it, so.
we have to do that,
Great
and we have to
idea.
get you guys to approve it, so
Rather
Sounds
than
good.
say 25%, I would just say
a flat fee or,
just a
Yeah.
donation.
Yeah, we just have to
Just a
figure it
donation.
out.
Limit it.
Right, $5 or $100, or
Yeah.
whatever they want.
yeah, because you have to realize, we have to do all the interior, we have to do all the paperwork for it, so it would actually cut back on a little bit of paperwork, too. You know what I mean, to do the refunds and stuff like that and stuff, so it'd help everybody out, so.
And part of the reason I thought people might like the idea is when I was at Celebrate Monroeville, a number of elderly people came up to me and would say, your parks are really nice. We enjoy going there. So I'm thinking, some of these folks may really appreciate our parks and want to help sustain them. So.
Good job.
Yes,
Great
good
idea.
idea.
Working on.
Okay,
Great
Council,
idea. Get that
rolling.
okay, get that change, that's on the security deposits on the list. of
Yeah, we'd have to do
fees.
it.
Okay, get that changed.
And I
Fee
gave
schedule
you
you
the.
have to change, or?
It'd be a fee schedule change, it'd be a lot of
You were
different
going to talk to
changes.
Monroeville Foundation.
Right, and I'll
We just
talk
have to
the
figure all that
Monroeville
out, the
Foundation. So for council, when you pass the budget at the December meeting, at least that's what we're aiming for, then that will be passed, with the fee schedule when you
Yeah.
pass the budget.
We just have to get the language correct and everything like that, so we'll just
Right.
put all that together.
Better effort doing
And what's kind of amazing here is, between your 16 and 17 budget, it's like roughly a $4,000
Yeah, if
difference,
you go to number
which
81,
is very good.
it's going to change by $4,000, if I'm correct here, Tim. There's only a few of the line items that change. It's really for Joanne, for her postage and her booklet. It goes up every year, just a
It does-
few little
well,
bits, no big
It doesn't
deal.
usually. A lot in case it does. Let's put it that way, because they'll say to me, there's a chance postage could go up 3% or different things. So we tried a lot for that would be covered if it does.
Go halfway down, you'll see zeros for, unless you guys have an updated one, 2503 telephone and telegraph. The budget shows a $0, it should be 4,000.
I highlighted that, by the way.
I got
Okay.
that, yeah.
So that needs to be changed on that in your budget. That should have said $4,000, not zero,
Change the
so
bottom line?
the bottom line would
95?
change up to 295, 580.
Oh, now we're in
Compliment.
Yeah.
That's why,
Now
that's
we're in
why,
deficit.
that's why I felt
Now you have
like
to
maybe
eat
you should
the
hold out a little
compliment,
bit.
Steve.
You should have.
Take the compliment back, that's what I was trying to say.
I noticed in your budget, Paul, that your health insurance has gone up over $5,000. Your employee's pension has gone up $12,000. Social Security gone up $3,000, and your employee life insurance has gone up $200
I'm
for a
getting
total
older.
of $70,000 just for insurances, Social Security, and so
And
forth in that
that's
budget.
every
Everybody.
department.
Right.
That's everybody.
Yeah.
They can't, and that fixes that other stuff, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's nothing really at 4,500, not many changes or anything like that we didn't do. If you go to page 83, your 4,600, 4,600, you're not really seeing much of a change there. What you are seeing at the very bottom is the grant, and the grant is that will go away. Next year it'll still be in there, but it's going to go away because we're finalizing the grant for the trail. So that's what's in there. So we're just pulling from that. I just asked for a check today. We're getting that money back. So it's going to balance itself out. It'll be a zero number at the very end. The only thing that's going to go back in here, Tim and I spoke, is we're actually going to put the $100,000 grant that I just received for the basketball and tennis courts up there to be replaced. So that's going to go back in there. So
That's going to be done in 17.
God willing, yes,
Hey,
God
Paul,
willing.
what's the big jump in salary?
The salary thing, basically, it hasn't gone up. What we did is, part of the money that was left over in the salaries, we actually took that money out and we did some rehabs at Beechwood, Garden, and Pioneer. So if you look right down below, about 5 down, you'll see 9,500. We transferred that money from the 16.5 down to see 9,500.
Got it.
And if you add them together, there's your 25,000. So really, all we did was transfer. We felt it made more sense, instead of taking out of the salaries, we transferred it out to make it kind of more of a clean look. And we used that money to rehab those 3 parks, and that went really well. So that's 6 parks in the last 2 years that have been rehabbed completely. We actually put safety surfaces in under all the swings and under the tire swings, so all that's being done. We converted Calvington off of Calvington. We converted that from, it was all sand. We converted that this year to play mulch, so that was done this year. So, and next year, obviously, we have 3, we're going to try to do 3 a year if we can.
Did you allocate any monies in here? I know you and I had talked about, there was a lot of equipment for the kids in all the parks that need to be rehabbed, painted.
Yeah, what this, I know you for that, is all the equipment has actually been paid to as we go. So the only thing we didn't do, which again is my fault, is the painting side of it. It's a little bit more detailed. We need a machine, electrostatic machine. It's more detailed. So we didn't, unfortunately, get to it. And I know I owe you that for
Yeah.
your volunteers and stuff like that.
Yeah, because
So-
I have volunteers that
I
are
know.
willing to go out
Yeah.
and help paint
Yeah.
through the parks, the
Yeah.
equipment for the kids.
And I've actually spoken
think
to
it's
the
great
Boy
for the
Scout
community.
groups.
That's
The
wonderful.
Boy Scouts groups really want to get involved. The Boy Scouts this year, actually, if you guys know, there's a Boy Scout camp at Pioneer Park. I don't know if everybody knows that. But there's a Boy Scout camp that sits way in the back. They actually have a flagpole. They have a big sign and everything that says Boy Scout camp. And again, they used to do, years ago, before my time, they used to do sleepovers over there. And they would leave the bathroom open and everything. So the Boy Scouts just actually rehabbed the entire thing, painted the sign. So they're really getting involved. John Budsey from 184, there's a bunch of different ones. So that's coming along too. So they rehabbed that. So we had a bunch of things happen from a rehab standpoint. Obviously, the trail, it's actually, just so everybody knows, it's actually getting started in March, about 6 months sooner than usual. We just got back the bids came back at $1.6 million. That's being run through PennDOT through the Westmoreland County, and that trail is getting started in Trafford and coming our way. So Well, actually, our part will get done sooner than later, so that's going to take a long time.
You couldn't have $1.6 million.
1.6 for
No, you can't have
5.6. No, that wasn't me, yeah. So, but we are getting the parking lot done down there, the bridge is getting done, so it's going to look really nice down there. We have to come in front planning for the parking lot, but once that all gets done, that's going to be a great opportunity. We have some volunteers that are on the hook right now. Between Nick has thrown a couple names my way, I have some, and with the Boy Scouts and everything, to kind of help keep that trail clean.
Now, are they
So-
doing are they doing 3 bridges or 2?
Our guys are doing internally, we're doing the short bridge, which is the first one you come to if you're heading towards Trafford. The other 2 are being bid out. We just had a bid meeting with 6 contractors. They're going to bid on it, and they're replacing those 2. We're not
Okay.
replacing those. That's being done. They roughly think each one is going to cost around $80,000 apiece. So that's getting done by
Outside,
bids
right.
through Westmoreland. It has nothing to do with us. I just
okay.
attended the bid meeting is all I did, the pre-bid meeting, so.
Also, they have the Rotary Club of Monroeville. They want to put either a bench or some kind of a hut down there
Yeah.
on the trail.
Yeah. We
Some
talked
kind
about
of
it.
we looked at some kind of bicycle repair, but
Yeah.
I don't know
Oh,
about that. It might get vandalized, who
Yeah.
knows? But a bench might be more apropos for the trail.
We have a lot of things we need to look, because in Trafford, they have restrooms set up. In Murraysville, they're going to have, we don't have anything in between. So we're working through that process. I'm working with Jimmy Hunter with the Water Authority, see if we can figure something out down there. Porta-John obviously is a way to go, but leaving those Porta-Johns down there, we need to have them locked on a regular basis. They just get
trail?
destroyed.
On the trail?
In the parking lot.
Yeah, the parking lot, go down the park. I actually just took pictures of 6 different syringes down there in that parking lot.
Wow.
Just-
Get rid of them.
you know.
That's
and
what
it's,
trees are for.
So I'm hoping we clean that up, we put the light down there, we're putting lights down there, that'll help deter some things going on down there, so we hope. But, yeah, if you ever get a chance to walk the trail, do yourself a favor, it's pretty amazing, so it's a lot of fun, so. I walk it, you can't tell, but I do walk it, so. I just said it before Steve said
6
it,
months ago.
that's all.
That's where the Rotary Club's putting a bench halfway
Yeah.
between his walk.
You need the bed
Breath.
polish.
One more,
good, Paul.
one more thing in 4600, the concert series. UPMC continues to sponsor it every year. We're very fortunate with that. This year I actually scheduled 7 concerts, but that poor Billy Price got rained out 3 times. So he
My guy.
is going to come back next year. He's going to be the first person I contact, and hopefully we'll have better luck in 2017. But it's been very well. Paul just reminded me of the new event I started this year, my Pokemon Go. Have you play Pokemon?
No.
It's on your phone. Your kids don't play Pokemon. Anyhow, it's Pokemon on your phone, and it's been wonderful for the parks, not only for Monroeville but everywhere, because these little Pokemon guys are everywhere. And it's
I want council to look how Joanne's eyes light up
I
when
love
she
I
talks
know,
about Pokemon.
But anyhow, it's a good opportunity to get people out into your parks and see what we have. So I actually held a Pokemon event at our park, and I didn't know what we were going to get. And we had at least 100 people, anywhere from the ages of 2 to 80s, I would say. I mean, it was amazing, the people. And it's good for all, it's at all of our parks, so it gets people out in our parks doing different things, and I hope to have another one of those in the spring here. Maybe I'll see you there.
You are so excited about it. I may come to that. Just sold.
Are you going to dress up
No, you don't
Yes,
have
I
to.
am.
Very
Pokemon?
good, guys.
And obviously, we had the Jazz Festival, the Rivertown, so all those are very
Yeah.
successful
Yeah.
events
Great.
there.
Yeah.
So-
You always get a lot of folks to come to that in the
Oh,
audience.
people love our events. They really
yeah.
do. I mean,
Yeah.
they look forward to it. If we didn't have them, I mean, that's their things to do in the summer.
Now, have we
We're going to
considered,
keep having them.
That's
yeah, have we considered putting some lights in there? I've heard from some folks that when the concerts are completed, that sometimes it's a little dark for them to get back to their vehicles.
But we have everything lit up there from in the actual area you sit, because we have those huge lights, and the parking lot does have lights on it. If the timer's not working, we'll have to look out and see. And also, too, we're going to address the issue with the gate, too, the gates and stuff, so we're looking into that.
Please.
Our guys are
Yeah.
keeping an eye on that for me, and I just asked them to do that for you.
Thank
so.
you.
See, I think the lights are on. Everybody's looking at their phone trying to find Pokemon. at
Well, they can also
I
use their
think
phone
you're
now
right.
with the
Yeah.
light
Bring
to
a
get out,
flash.
too.
Well, the
so-
amphitheater's a gym, actually, so you can fight with your
Yeah, okay.
Pokemon down there.
All right.
course.
There was a question last budget hearing in regard to cost of electricity with the parks, the baseball fields and stuff.
Okay. So page 85, we're going to go to 4,700 real quick, Linda. I'll address
We're not
that.
done with
Okay.
you guys yet.
Okay,
Oh, for the
47. So basically that there, I don't think really much has changed there. We actually reduced it. The only reason why we reduced it, consulting fees are fees that we pay for people to come in and do our programming and stuff like that. We've seen it over the years, the average, we've taken the average over the last 3 years, I take every year. That number actually was able to come down, so we reduced that. Even though that money's there, if we don't use it, we don't spend it. I mean,
Right.
And you're getting that from revenue, though, for the classes.
absolutely.
Exactly.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that's being
absolutely.
paid for.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So the number could be,
Understand
that number could be 100,000, but if we only use 35, it doesn't make a difference.
Right.
And we're making money up for it, we're covering the cost for it.
Right.
So I just figured just reduce it down, so you'll actually see, so it helped make up the 4 I just added in the other one. One of the questions that Linda asked about, which I will just pass this out to you guys real quickly here. It was a question that was asked last week, and Tim brought it to my attention, and so I just thought I would just show it to you guys real quick. Sorry.
Thank you.
As quickly as I can for you guys. I do apologize, I guess I don't have the last one. So the question was asked with regards to soccer and baseball, and that will show you what they've contributed this year, just so you have an idea what it was. They pay every year the seating. Both locations pay for the seating on their fields. I gave you the square footage there so you can see it's a pretty large amount. This year we need additional storage up by the baseball complex. We approached them for that. They in turn paid for it. That's what you'll see there.
Oh, nice.
The netting, if anybody's been up there, if you have any children, I think you can see it's so dry rotted, there's holes through it, it's a safety issue. It's a bad safety issue, and we actually got that replaced this year. It's not up yet, but it's getting, the old's becoming down and the new's going up. If you're aware, they're now, if anybody that knows, they're up there now doing the fields up there now. The turf's going in as we speak.
looks to me
So
like
we're going to do it all at the
baseball.
same time.
It looks to me like the baseball, soccer, or baseball association, our relationship has grown positively.
Absolutely. There's, and it always, the guys are great up there. They're wonderful. There's a lot of changes upcoming, obviously, because of the turf and stuff like that, that we're sitting down with them, talking to them, and coming up with some thoughts and some ideas that we've addressed some different things because, obviously there's some more tournaments going on up there. It's going to help everybody, Monroeville, baseball, the community as a whole.
I noticed this
that-
year when the baseball tournaments were in town, that Eaton Park was jammed with baseball players.
Yeah. Sean
Kings
says
was
it's a-
jammed with baseball
Yeah,
players.
Sean says
The
a real
hotels,
benefit.
The restaurants,
Yeah.
yes.
That's definitely a positive. Now, along those lines, with this and with the field use in the tournaments, the turf going in, I don't know if this is something that we should maybe discuss as far as the fee schedule, as far as what we charge to use those fields.
Yeah, what I've done was go back out and research. There's only one other location that has them, and they're up in Butler area, and our number's pretty well in line with that. So what I was going to do is keep an eye on that and determine, like, if you want to put it in for this year, that's fine, but I did research that to make sure. So we're in line still with, there's only one other place like that, it's up in Butler area.
And with like electricity costs and everything?
Electricity costs aren't going to change, that's always going to stay the same. I mean, will we get more use out of it? Yeah, I mean, we probably will. But we did just have, we definitely need to keep an eye on the cost up there. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no
And just so
doubt
everybody
about
knows,
it.
I mean, the Baseball
Yeah.
Association uses our concession stands up there, and they keep the money whenever they sell products there. And that's for their games, and also when the tournaments come from out of town, which is great for the community. The Baseball Association runs the concession stands, and they generate the revenue up there as well.
It looks like they put it back in, though.
They put in $11,000, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So again, I think it's something we have talked about on the side, but Tim and Nick and myself, and even with baseball, we need to readdress that issue, is what we're trying to do here. We need to
Okay.
do
We just have
that.
to keep an eye on it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And with the new field change, might be the time to actually make a fee
That's
schedule
the
change.
best time to do it.
Now, Tim, can
Well,
we-
change of other things too, though, yeah. Address all the other things too.
multiple things.
Yeah.
But we don't have to necessarily do all that at a budget time, right? Can we make modifications to a fee schedule throughout the year?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We can change the fee schedule or anything. We can even add something in if something
Add
comes
it,
up.
change
it. Some
Yeah,
idea.
absolutely. Yeah, then also too, just so you understand the soccer side of it, if you're aware of, soccer came before you last year complaining about the field 14. If you guys can envision field 14, it's the one that's all the way in the back. It has, up on top, it has one of those gas wells. Triaxles actually ran through the middle of the field to construct that, and over time, the center has really deteriorated pretty bad here.
We've been dealing with that for years.
So we actually are in the midst right now of getting that all regraded. You can see that they're actually donating, they're providing us with some money. Sean's going to help us out with a little bit of money, and then we're going to make up the difference, but that has to get addressed this year.
What's the total cost of that?
I haven't come up with a number, but it's nothing
Okay.
crazy. Don't worry.
Can we do it in-house? Can we do it in-house?
No, we
Public
can't do the
Works?
laser grading and stuff like that. We're getting it prepped.
Okay.
And basically what I did, just so you understand, the laser grading was around $5,000. I've actually worked out a deal with Palumbo contractor up there that's doing our fields right now. We actually offered him a truck to haul his stuff out because he has a triaxle. We have a lighter truck. He's able, and we're leaving the stuff on site. So he's give and take. He's going to do the laser grading for us because we're providing him with an extra with a truck in when we need a guy to haul some stuff out of there. So I'm kind of willing and dealing with that. So we're not going to. That's covered. The biggest issue is going to be the topsoil and the sod that we're going to get in, which will all be done before Thanksgiving. So you're going to see an expense of some money, but I did let Tim know. He said, but you will see a little bit, but it won't be nothing eye-popping.
What has to be done?
It has to be done for the kids. It really does.
Yeah.
They didn't get to use it all last year, one
Yeah,
full year.
why have the field if you
Wow.
can't use it?
So we need to get this done, and it's not because of them, their fault. It's not our fault. It's just something that happened, and over time it's deteriorated.
I have two questions, Paul. The cost of maintaining the parks grows each year, is that correct?
I think we've been maintaining it pretty good. I mean, I don't
Well,
think...
I'm not
That's more or
questioning.
less through Public Works.
Yeah, I'm not questioning that. My point is that if our cost of doing business is growing, for example, we have to pay higher costs to the Public Works and so forth, then at some point in time, we have to sort of keep in step with the growing costs as along with the fees. So, I'm not saying that we have to raise the fees like double or triple. What my suggestion is that as we grow and as the parks grow, we need to have our fees grow along with all that.
And we have been,
Okay.
we follow it, and we have over the last couple of years increased it
Yeah,
some.
and as a matter of fact, that's why you don't see a lot of increase in our fee schedule this year, because we increased a lot of stuff last year.
Yeah.
Right.
We've already done that. Our beer permits and we've already increased fees last year.
Always got to be the beer permit, doesn't it?
Well, I'm just using that as an example. So.
How did the summer programs work out?
The day camps?
Yes.
The day camps are wonderful. My day camps over the last 5 years have increased by 40%.
Wow.
Great.
It's amazing. I mean, normally I had a 9-week program, but the way the school schedule was this year, I was able to put in 10 weeks of camp. I had 2 years ago implemented the option 2, which was the overflow of kids from my regular day camp, that I had set up that they would go to the pool on field trip day instead of going on the field trip, and we'd just have like an extra pool day. This year, at least 3 or 4 weeks, I was able to utilize that second camp setting. So, I mean, we've at least increased by 40% over the last 5 years here, which is really good, and I think it's going to continue to grow. As far as other things in 4700, swimming and health programs seem to be the main things people are looking for, followed by leisure learning. I'll tell you, Len Young, are you still here yet, Len? No, I don't know if he left. Anyhow, he's doing a pruning class for me this Saturday up at the community park. We have 11 people coming. He's doing it free of charge. We're charging just a small fee for, in-house stuff. And 11 people are going to go up there and learn how to prune their trees at their house, as well as it might help some of our plants at the park.
Yeah,
So I think, wonderful things like that with people in the community participating,
great.
Great.
Anything else? So, then the last one was the pool. I mean, the pool's there. It didn't do as well as this year. We had a lot of added expenses this year, unfortunately. We're going to try to lessen those. Unfortunately, the sanitary sewer, if you're aware, it got backed up. We had to bring a company in, which we had to bring in porta-johns as an emergency because we can't have the pool open without that, with this weather. So we just had a lot of electrical issues. We had a lot of things. We had a leak there this year. So we had a bunch of things there. The pool's getting old. So we really need to start keeping an eye on that.
Can't we just dig a new hole?
That pool was old 50 years ago.
Yes, it was.
Right.
So, we just have to keep an eye on those things. So,
Right.
but the pool's still there, doing well, but we incurred some more expenses than we wanted this year, so.
Well, we normally about break even with the pool, right?
Yeah, we
It's
did
not like
this
it's a
year.
moneymaker or anything. It
Yeah.
kind of is just a
Yeah.
break
Service to the
even.
Community
community kind of
seniors.
thing.
It's a community
Serve
service, but
community
unfortunately,
without-
we didn't break
Yeah.
even this year. We actually lost.
Yeah.
But nothing that we can't try and, that's worth, like you said, cost of doing business. I
Right,
guess.
and like you say,
Yeah.
those were unexpected costs.
Yeah.
Right.
So no one expects the pool to actually make money.
And I'll just leave you with this last thing, since you're being so generous with Doug.
No.
Yeah, that hole's dry.
Just so you
Right.
understand, I got that grant for CITF for $100,000 for those courts and everything up there, what needs to be replaced. The number that Jamie came up with is around $322,000, $330,000, something like that. I'm looking at Paul because I can't remember the exact number, it's right
And you
there.
expect me to remember?
Yeah. In-house wise, we're going to probably be able to do about $70,000 worth of that. We got 100, we're out about 150 to get these, so we're trying to figure something out creative. I mean, grants, if we get grants, I wouldn't get it until August of next year.
And that's for what, Paul? 2 basketball courts?
2 basketball courts, 4 tennis courts that have to be
300
completely
grand.
down.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest expense is more the paving and the coating of it. I think that 5, 10,
They put that
15.
rubberized
That's
coating.
around about $190,000 alone just for that. And then we have to put the fencing back. Now, the fencing, we can wait, but I don't want a tennis person chasing the ball over the place. Basketball may not as bad, but, so we
Right,
really
'cause
need
the
to
ball's
think that.
bigger?
Huh? What's that?
Because the ball's bigger?
And part of the problem is this is a very visible part of our park, where these are located, and people utilize them.
Yeah.
And
Why
we've
don't
got a lot of calls
Have we ever thought of
already.
relocating that, rather than that swampy area and investing all this money into
Well, the
building
idea-
that up? I
We
mean,
don't think it was a
We have that
swamp. I'm not
open
sure.
area. I know
On the
it's a
field, on the
swamp.
green. Well, that green
I've dealt
space
with
is
this for
something.
years.
Yeah.
How about the green space up above?
Yeah,
That's
well,
up on a
we-
hill. We could utilize that space and probably do it for a third of the amount of money.
Well, what's a project we're looking at?
To
Well,
rebuild what's there.
What's there, the cost is the cost. It's going to be 320, it is what it
Our
is.
engineers didn't come up with that one, right?
No,
I mean,
but
seriously,
listen,
when you move it to Highland,
we're readdressing that issue. That's a project that we're looking at.
I could
We're
help
working
you
with
readdress that.
about redoing that green area. It's just dead space up there. We're looking to redo some things up there. We want to come back to you next year about
Perfect
that.
spot for basketball and tennis.
Yeah, we need to revisit
Eliminate
it.
that low water area and save a couple hundred
But we did
thousand.
put drainage the whole way around that, so we're hoping, we're going to open it up and see, before we do anything, we want to open it up and see what happens before we do anything.
So nothing's going to happen with those
You're gonna
courts
see a
then
creek
until
running through there.
at least the spring or summer then, till
Been
we
dealing
see.
with it for
Right.
If I can
30
use this
years.
grant money to at least get partial
20
done,
years.
that's what I want
10
to do,
years.
get something
So
completed so
even
we
if
have
you get like
something.
one, and
Yeah,
one
2
of these,
courts,
one this and 2 of
Yeah.
those, or?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I'm
Okay.
trying to do. So we at least have something,
So-
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
okay?
Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
you,
Oh, wait,
guys.
I have one more question, Paul.
Oh, come on, Tom.
Come on, Paul. All right. Now, the community park, we all know it's a wonderful park. How about the park down the road? Is it the Monroeville East?
Park East, yes.
Yeah, Park East. Now, does it receive the same amount of, not the same amount, does it receive a good quality of participation in that park that perhaps we could move it over to Monroeville Community Park? I believe there's 66 acres there.
Yeah.
So I believe that would be I believe it's an asset for the community, and it's also an opportunity for the community that perhaps we could sell those 66 acres to some developer, get some tax dollars in there, and get some nice homes in there, affordable homes, and something like that, because I think we're duplicating our services.
I can tell you that that's
Yeah.
probably our most popular park outside the community park. It's probably our most popular.
Yes.
But what you want to do is above my pay grade. You
No, I
can't get to
understand
that
that. No,
part.
I just wanted to, get an idea what's
Yeah.
going on there.
No, it's a popular park for us, too. It's probably our second most popular outside of the community park.
It
Yeah.
is utilized for baseball and soccer as well as picnics. I hold my day camp there. I mean, a lot of people, and even walk the disc golf we
Yeah,
have.
but couldn't you use another park? That's all I'm asking.
You're saying
I'm
move
sure
us-
you could,
move-
or you could go to
Yeah.
another park and do that, because 66 acres represents approximately $3 million. to the municipality if we would sell it.
And I agree with him, because out of that 66 acres, probably 4 or 5 acres are utilized.
Right,
Absolutely.
right.
I think you can say that for a lot of our parks.
So you
Maybe
may
sell
have
60 acres.
Yeah.
50 acres that,
Have no,
Tim, could you get
You
a
can
for
say that for a
sale
lot
sign
of our
put on that
parks.
tomorrow?
We have
Please.
110 acres on certain parks, and we only
No, I
use
just brought up
the
for
heart of
something
it. I
we
mean,
can
that-
consider along the
that
way.
does make a lot of sense.
you'd have to see what's, I
By
don't-
owner?
And see what's actually usable on that. What-
Absolutely. I don't
Right,
know what is
right,
usable. You have to
right.
look at the
Yeah.
land of it and see. That'd be an engineering thing to look
That
at.
would be a
so-
Mr. Yugas question.
Yeah, I agree. I
Because
totally
then we
agree.
could have a sign made for sale by
I
owner.
totally agree. I can forward all that information to Mr. Hugus. I like that.
You know,
Guy
Paul,
sitting there minding his own business.
Paul, before you sit down, since we're doing a lot of chit-chatting about a lot of things, maybe we let the public know that possibly this year, the 4th of July committee may be moving our fireworks for the first time ever from Monroeville Mall out to the park.
Wow.
We're giving it some serious thought, and in fact, we're going to have a little test run here, so somewhere in the next few weeks.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. We're looking at either Monroe Park East or the community park. Monroe Park East might make the
Oh, I
most
watch it
sense.
from my back.
Because if you go up there, you think we can look from the hospital, the high school, I mean, even the community park. And, you know, we have the parking, and it might be something fun, something different, get it out of the mall area. I don't know what the firemen think about that, but, you know, it is what it is, basically. But we're gonna do little test fires and see what it looks like, see what it looks like.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joanne.
Bye.
Good job.
Okay, I'm
Hi,
going
are you
to pull
staying?
council, actually, because we're about an hour in right now. We're going to head over to the library now. Now, moving forward, what does everyone want to do for the remainder? Do we want to tack it on at the end of our agenda-setting meeting here, or do we want to schedule another workshop? What's the wishes of everyone up here?
I'd be in favor, personally, of scheduling another workshop for the remainder.
Well, why don't we see how fast we
How
get
many more?
through the next one? Maybe we won't have to.
Put on your
I mean,
skates.
we're asking our residents that are here for Citizens Night
Yeah, I mean,
to stay an extra hour. I suggest that we go into Citizens Night.
Yep.
Yeah,
more.
works for me.
You can still go fast.
You're already standing, Nicole. Let's do library, and then after library, we are going to move over to our agenda-setting meeting.
Why don't you let Liz get done too?
What page?
Because Joe and Tim are here anyway.
Yeah, they have to stay anyway.
Okay?
I mean, that's fine, but we're just making our residents go a little longer than expected.
Well, I don't think, obviously, police department's always a long presentation and a lot of questions, and Parks and Rec probably, ran a little longer than it normally would, so let's see what the
We'll try to
library...
be quick.
We won't rush you by any means.
I would like to thank you all for your continued support of the library. You provide us with the funding and autonomy to be one of the best libraries in Allegheny County. The local funding we receive from the municipality,
What budget page are we
What
on?
page
this
are we on?
budget page starts on 99.
Thank you.
The local funding that we receive from you is actually also leveraged in the county funding that we receive. In front of you, you have a statistics page for library services from the past year. We had a successful year full of new opportunities and challenges. We
99.
opened a year-round book sale, children's entrance, a create space, and made improvements in our children's room. Circulation has gone up year-to-date from 2014 to 2016 by 5%. The foot traffic has gone up by 7%, and program attendance, we're very proud of, has gone up by about 20%. In Allegheny County, there are 45 independent libraries. We are 5th in the number of users, 5th in the size of our collection, and 8th in material circulation. And also, the last thing I'll point out on that page is the return on investment at the bottom right-hand corner of the page. For every dollar spent on maintaining and running the library in 2015, which was the one I had all of the numbers for, $3.20 worth of services were provided to the community, which is an increase from the year before when the return on investment was $2.88.
Great.
So, but we can start on page 99.
I have,
Go ahead.
99?
I'm sorry, I thought we were on 90. The increase on the salaries of temp employees.
yeah.
Yes. We're saving, we had 2 retirements this year, and in our full-time, we're saving about $35,000 of what we would have spent on full-time employees had those 2 retirees still been here this year. And we've saved money in a few other lines, and so we moved that into part-time for a couple of reasons. One of which is, well, first of all, a lot of the hours are the same, but they are in the books correctly. So, for example, people were working 20 hours a week, they were hired to work 20 hours a week, but they might have only been in the books for 10. So this number shows the exact picture of what every employee is allotted.
Okay, because your
for-
actual's at 140 right now as of the 10th.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the other thing. Part-time employees.
So you're going to
when they
240, so
take-
it's $100,000.
When they take off, they don't get paid. So our budget for this year is 196. We probably won't reach that, but we have to allot it because if they don't take vacations or they don't shorten their hours, then they are allotted those numbers.
Well, isn't that would also then drop the, if they're part-time employees, lost 2 full-time, so you're doing part-timers and making up kind of the money differences in hourly wages that way.
Correct.
So wouldn't that then drop the pensions? Because you're not giving pensions to
Some-
part-times. Instead, it's going up.
I'm not sure why that went up. Our hospitalization went down.
Yeah, that's what's confusing, just that one line right there.
I'm not sure about that answer.
Okay.
I apologize.
You don't have to know everything. That's why we're all here.
But
So,
we do,
I can help a little bit here.
Okay.
For the bottom line, you'll see like a $9,000 increase from the 2016 to the 2017 budget. 8,000 of that is OPEB that had never been taken out before.
Oh, okay.
so we tried to keep the bottom line as close as possible to last year.
Now, contract services, that would be the other one that I would ask.
Yes, we dropped it down as much as we could. Last year, when we were asked to cut the $200,000, one of the ways we did that was we took some of the contract service fees out of the municipal and put them into our revenue budget from the state. So, for example, we had an air handler that we replaced, I'm sorry, it's either an air handler or it is something for the air handler that we replaced from the revenue budget instead of the municipal budget. And we've done the same thing this year so that we can keep our staff, which are what makes the library the
Right.
library. And so we've tried to be smart about where we take the money from so that we can maximize the benefit to the community.
That's great. That's why I wanted to bring that up.
Thank you.
Knocking it out of the park, kid.
Very good.
Can I answer any other questions?
Nicole, you're getting one of the boilers down there replaced?
Yes. One of the boilers is being replaced out of the revenue budget. So we should hopefully, then if the unthinkable happens, we will still have
Don't say it
one
out loud.
boiler. We will still have one boiler to count on while we replace the other one.
Yeah.
And the elevator funding is coming extremely well. We unfortunately won't find out about the grant until February. But we have good things on our side. We haven't had one since the 90s, and if you haven't had one in 5 years, you kind of go up the ladder. And we also, it's an ADA project, which also helps you as well. And so the public has been so supportive, and the local businesses have been so supportive. So we're just very thankful and excited to get that done next year, hopefully.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you, Nicole.
You are very welcome.
Thanks,
Nice
John.
Good job.
Thank you, Jonna.
Thanks.
I shall share with you these before I leave, and you can peruse them at your own leisure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Go by.
And if you haven't stopped in at the new Create Space, please do. It's very cool.
Very nice. Great job. Liz Summer,
I get that.
Squeeze me in.
we're going to have you present after our agenda-setting meeting, so if you could just have a seat. And
Really?
Wow.
No, she's here, let's do it.
Okay.
Talking about on the revenue.
Well, thank you all for having me here tonight. I have some papers to pass out.
Thank you.
What page?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Read it.
I was just kidding about rescheduling.
I'm trying hard.
Okay.
Page 25.
So the page I just handed you is our
25.
revenue section. The numbers look different than the ones in your binder. Yeah, just one, actually, it's just two numbers. It's a positive thing. We're going upwards. When I was reviewing these original pages in preparation for tonight, I realized that the delinquent real estate that we collect in the tax office now was not listed at all. So there was $131,000 that we collected this year that wasn't showing up. And then the outside collector that we used to use was still listed on here as being budgeted with zero income for this year. So I had to get that changed for tonight, so that's why you have new pages. But the good news is the revenue is now $45,000 higher for next year's budget. So it's a win-win. That's good. So that was the big change, and that's the second line where it says delinquent real estate tax, and the third line where it says liened real estate. So those numbers were changed, okay? So just some highlights from this year. I'm going to talk a lot about business tax collections because that's my area of expertise. I don't know if you guys remember, it's a self-assessing tax. So without any auditing procedures in place, we have no guarantee of when a business will make payment or whether it'll be accurate. So we have to verify what is reported. We continue to be blessed with a strong business corridor in this western Pennsylvania region, unlike some of the other areas like Scranton and Reading that are still struggling and they're in distress. So we do fairly well when you look at communities that are even bigger or, similar in size to ours. So that's good.
I hate to stop you. What expenditure page are you?
The expenditure page is,
25.
Yeah,
this says 13.
Revenue.
Is that
13.
tax collection 13?
Wait a sec.
Yes.
13, yes.
Okay, we're all in
Perfect,
agreement.
thank you.
Good, you're welcome. So, our auditing program continues to be very successful. I went over some accounts and notes this week. We have increased through auditing about another $1 million again this year.
Wow.
From that process, like not just what comes in the mail, not just, what comes in on its own. This is us actively going and examining books and records and taking businesses to the magistrate if we have to. And Bob's been working with us to go downtown with some cases and things, and that's, garnishing bank accounts, things like that we're really stepping it up to the next level. We've added about 300 accounts to the tax roll just this year, and about 100 of those accounts opened this year. So that means businesses are moving into our community, which is good. That's good.
Wow, that's terrific.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Is
so-
the
Yeah.
salary of temp employees the increase in anticipation of the water mitigation fees, possibly?
Yes, I was going to get to that. We're pretty successful at what we do. So for next year, we are looking at working on that, collecting that fee, which is more of a fixed fee than a self-assessing. So it's basically billing and collecting. It doesn't require necessarily a whole lot of auditing at this point. I mean, we will have to pursue unpaid accounts, which we're, well-versed in as well. So, but yes, that's the big change in our expenditures.
Well, that's been tabled as far as that ordinance. Is that something we should even have in there?
Yes.
I mean, if it's something that you're anticipating down the line, wouldn't you want to?
Would it be enacted by?
Yeah, so if we don't go forward, she can take it out of her budget.
I was going to say, it can always come out of the budget, but we need to prepare, I would say to be conservative, you'd want to prepare to have
everything in place for that, but that's a discussion for council.
I mean, when are we looking to really get into that? I mean,
I think it's going to be sooner than later, but I don't know that for sure.
I agree.
And I think it makes more sense if you have it there, leave it there. That's just me, instead of having to scurry and look for it later.
Well, is that something that
There
would be,
again.
wouldn't that come out of the actual fees themselves that we collect?
I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Would it-
So wouldn't that be paid for out of the actual?
Wouldn't that would have to be in that budget.
It wouldn't come out of,
well, you'd imagine that would go into the general fund, but then it would have to be put into the temporary
Well,
salaries.
if you're going to, it depends on how you want to account for it. If you want to count, like we do the Keystone Collections in their own budget page.
That's how I think it would
And
have to be done.
if you want to do
The
that,
money has to be
because
kept
like,
completely
yeah,
separate.
like you're saying, it's going to be tracked,
The way it's
income and expenses
stated
out of
here.
one
No,
account.
it's really not stated here that that would come out of this flood mitigation, pollution control monies. That's basically out of the tax collections office.
No, I agree, but it would go into temporary employee.
Correct,
line
but it
item.
would have to be a whole separate,
It wouldn't be 1,300, it would be another,
number, like,
whatever. Mhm.
yes, so it
Just
would be
as
its
an-
own entity.
just as a storm,
Well, it's under
But you could
30.
also, I was just going to say, you could
It would
also
not
call it
be.
1330 or 1340.
But it's
Yeah.
currently
You could-
under 1,300.
That was all we had to work with.
Yeah.
That's a munis, we have to set it up.
That's all right. You
Yeah,
did
we,
good.
when we did the earned income tax collections in-house, everything was in this department.
Okay.
Once Keystone became the collector for just the earned income tax, a separate page was created for their revenues and expenditures, separate from us, because
And you could set that up separately for the
I believe that
pollution
that can
flood-
be done as the same, yes.
For the
that's
time
correct.
being, though, it's cleaner to leave it this way, because
Well-
it's there, then you can transfer it. when-
Yes, it could be set,
Yeah.
yes, it's accounted for. Where
Keep it
it's accounted
accounted for,
for
correct.
is, yeah.
will be the
Can be-
final question.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
and when.
it can always be changed.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Sure. So, the biggest change we have for next year's budget that I want to address is, we are going to be doing, we already do the collections in-house, but what we're going to be doing in 2017, we want to emphasize some of the benefits of this is, we are now going to process the payments in our department instead of taking all the checks upstairs to the finance office and having them run them through the banking process. We're going to separate that function. It's been this way for about 25 years, but I can tell you that the auditors, outside auditors, had made reference to the fact that accounting for it in the general fund became tedious. There was, stress with doing the bank reconciliation for finance and constant back and forth when the auditors came about is, that deposit, what taxes it belong to, what, this and that. So we've been struggling with this for a very, very long time, and it was suggested we do this. So this year, we're going to bite the bullet, and we're going to do it. What's going to happen is the tax office will collect all the money, just everything will stay the same in the tax office, except we will add on the responsibility of taking care of the checks. We'll put the money into separate accounts, business tax, local services tax. At the end of each month, like we do now, we prepare reports, we give to finance, and finance writes a check to Wilkins, Gateway, all the other entities that we service. What will happen now is we will distribute that, and Monroeville will get their share, just like Wilkins and Gateway, and it'll be very clean, and the books and records for the municipality and the finance office should be easier to address.
Where's that
Exactly, because
showing?
you're not
Makes it
going to
much cleaner.
see.
Where's that showing in here?
Well, in the budget, it's actually been segregated for many, like the last, I don't know, 5, maybe 6 years.
Longer than
Is it
that.
longer than that?
Longer than that.
Yeah, at one time, we used to put everything in here, what came in from Gateway and everything, and then we'd show in a separate page of the budget what we paid to Gateway. And we did that for a long time, and then it came to the point where we started collecting for other entities, and now you've got all that money showing up as revenue when it's really not our money, it's just a pass-through.
Pass-through.
So we took it out of the budget a while ago. Now we're cleaning up the back office part of it, where instead of funneling it all through the finance office upstairs, and many collectors do this. They collect it, then they distribute one payment each month to whoever they collect for, just like Keystone does. They don't send you money for anybody else but you. We're going to be this. It's going to be the same way for us. No change in. I mean, we're still going to do this. We're going to collect the money. It's all going to be accounted for and reconciled. I'll do the bank reconciliations for that money, and I still do the reports, but it's just,
That's going to make it a lot easier with.
It's going to free up
and-
finance.
Yes.
It really is. It's going to free
It'll
up
make the bank
finance.
reconciliation
Way
The
a heck of a lot
auditors,
easier.
the outside auditors will be pleased because they're not going to be tracing back stuff to our department like they do now, and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
So that,
great.
I wanted to bring that up. And the reports that we give council match Munis, and, it should all tie in. It'll all be, very clean when it's done. So if you have any questions, I thank you for this time. Short and sweet.
Oh, great
We
job.
bring in the money,
Thank you.
Yep.
So we
Thank
don't
you.
ask a
Good
lot.
job, Liz.
Keep bringing in the money.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, so council, I'm going to stop the presentations at that point. Do we want to schedule another hearing for the remainder, which would be Mr. Sedlak and Mr. Little, and then also for further discussion? We want to do that we have some options of Thursday the 10th, Thursday the 17th. The following week would be Thanksgiving, so we're not going to do that.
We can't put them into the next council meeting, which is the 10th or Wednesday or whatever that date is. We can't do it a little early.
Could we do it through the December?
Just a
you mean the
thought.
December work session?
Next Wednesday. Wednesday coming up, the next meeting. Can't we be in a little early and do it then and get it over with? I mean, it's just a thought.
You probably-
I would have to check and see on the advertising of that, because that should be advertised, because you're required,
okay.
you're required to have 2 budget hearings under the Home Rule Charter, and this is the second one.
Right.
Now, you could, I would say continuance.
Just continue it,
Have a
yeah.
continuance, as I just thought of that, have a continuance if you want to do that.
So let's maybe do it at the end of Wednesday's meeting.
We're all going to be here anyway.
Once we already
Gonna
go
be
through our
here
regular
instead of
meeting.
making
and
another-
then-
Please,
It was just a thought.
Perfect.
That's a great idea.
love it.
Yeah, we can
I
have continuance
concur.
of the,
How
so,
about that?
I agree.
I'm
so
in.
when you break, in- when we go into the,
I'm in.
We'll make a motion in the agenda-setting meeting. Would that be
I mean, yeah, I don't, Bob? I would think in the hearing, you can,
This is a hearing, so you can just make a motion now to continue it
Yeah.
to a future date, and I think you'll be fine.
All right, I'd make a motion to continue this.
Second.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
continue it till after the end of the
At the
council
end of the
meeting
council meeting
on November the 9th.
Regular
The
council.
regular
meeting.
council meeting on the 9th.
Yes.
And it's only 2 items, so.
And we can discuss things further at
Two
that point. And then we
departments.
also have other options if we
long.
have to schedule more for discussion
Yeah.
if we want to.
I agree.
Very good.
Okay.
So, public comment just on budget. If there's any public comment on budget, seeing none, I'm going to close that hearing.
Came in a minute late.
No.
Seek a motion to adjourn the budget hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Bye.